In a quiet town, at the edge of a busy street, there stood a small animal shelter. The shelter was not large, but it had many dogs and cats waiting for families. Every week, visitors would come to look at the animals, hoping to find a new friend to take home. Some were families with children, some were older people looking for company, and some were young couples hoping for a playful pet. The shelter staff worked hard to keep the animals happy. They cleaned the cages, fed them on time, and gave each animal attention and care. But despite all the love and care, there was one dog who seemed to be forgotten. The dog was a German shepherd named Bruno. He was strong, with a thick, shiny coat of golden and black fur. His eyes were calm, dark, and full of intelligence. He had strong legs and a proud posture, yet he was gentle with everyone. Bruno did not jump on visitors or bark loudly like some other dogs. He simply sat in his corner, watching quietly, his ears alert and his tail resting on the floor. He had a peaceful presence, but people often misunderstood it. Every day, Bruno watched as families came and chose other dogs. There was Max, a small terrier who was always energetic and ran around the cage as soon as visitors came. There was Bella, a playful spaniel who barked and wagged her tail, jumping with joy whenever someone came near. Both of them quickly found homes, but Bruno remained alone. Some visitors said he looked too serious. Others said he looked too big for their home. A few thought he seemed quiet and not playful enough for children. Even the kindest families, who visited often, walked past him. The shelter staff tried to explain that Bruno was gentle, loving, and smart. They told visitors that he could be trained easily, that he would protect a family while being calm and affectionate at home. But few stopped to listen. The shelter owner, an elderly man named Rafik, often spoke kindly to Bruno. He would pat him on the head, scratch behind his ears, and whisper soft words. "Do not worry, Bruno," Rafik said one morning as he cleaned the cages. "Your day will come. You will find someone who sees your heart." Bruno wagged his tail slowly. He liked Rafik, but even his kind words could not remove the loneliness that weighed on him. Bruno had been in the shelter for many months. He remembered the day he had been brought in. He had been found wandering near a busy road, lost and frightened. The man who brought him said he was a stray, but there was a tag on his collar. The tag was small and slightly scratched, but it had a name and a message. The shelter kept the tag on Bruno's collar, hoping that someday someone would read it and understand his story. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Bruno watched dogs come and go. Some left with happy families who had waited for the right pet. Bruno would wag his tail and watch them leave, his eyes following them until they disappeared out the door. Then he would sit back down in his corner, his head lowered, wondering if his turn would ever come. One morning, the shelter was busy. Families walked through the aisles, smiling and laughing as they looked at the animals. Children pointed at puppies and shouted their names. Some dogs barked excitedly, hoping to be chosen. Bruno stayed in his corner, calm as ever. A little boy stopped to look at him. "Mom, I like that dog," the boy said. "He is big and strong. Can we take him home?" The mother bent down to look. "He looks scary," she said softly. "Maybe we should choose a smaller dog for the children." The boy frowned, but followed his mother. Bruno tilted his head and watched them leave. He felt a small ache in his heart. He did not understand why being calm and gentle made people afraid of him. Later, a young couple came to the shelter. They had been looking for a dog for a long time. They smiled at Max and Bella, but did not seem interested. When they reached Bruno's cage, the man said, "He looks too serious. I want a dog that will play with me." The woman nodded. "Yes, and maybe a smaller one. This dog looks like he needs a big yard." They walked away, leaving Bruno alone again. Even children who came with their parents rarely paid attention to him. They liked puppies that jumped and barked, or dogs with playful energy. Bruno could be playful too, but only with people who took the time to understand him. Most visitors wanted instant happiness and excitement, not patience and calm companionship. Bruno's only friend was Rafik. He would talk to him while cleaning the cages or feeding the other dogs. "You are special, Bruno," Rafik would say. "You have a heart that is waiting for someone special, too." Bruno would tilt his head and wag his tail slightly. He wished he could find that special person. One afternoon, a man named Amir entered the shelter. Amir walked slowly, observing each dog carefully. He did not make loud noises or rush through the cages. He seemed calm and thoughtful. As he passed the playful dogs, he noticed Bruno sitting quietly in his corner. Bruno looked at him with calm, steady eyes. Amir knelt down to see him better. He did not speak loudly or make sudden movements. He simply looked at Bruno and smiled softly. Then Amir noticed the tag on Bruno's collar. It was small but shiny, catching the light from the window. He reached for it carefully and read the words engraved on it. The message was short, but it was clear. It said something that made Amir pause. His eyes widened slightly, and he looked at Bruno with new understanding. Bruno held his gaze, as if sensing that Amir had finally seen him. Amir smiled and spoke softly. "Hello, Bruno. I think we should get to know each other." Bruno tilted his head and wagged his tail slowly. For the first time in many months, he felt a spark of hope. Perhaps this man could be the one who would understand him. Perhaps this was the moment he had been waiting for. The other dogs barked and jumped, but Bruno remained calm. He stepped forward slowly, his paws making soft sounds on the floor. Amir extended his hand, and Bruno sniffed it gently. He did not growl or pull away. He simply stayed close, trusting the man who had taken the time to read his tag. Rafik watched from a distance, smiling. He had waited for this moment for many months. He knew that Bruno was special, and he had always hoped that someone like Amir would come along. Bruno had waited patiently, and now, finally, he had a chance to find a home where he would be loved and understood. As Amir and Bruno spent more time together in the shelter that day, the lonely dog began to feel a sense of joy he had not felt before. The spark of hope in his heart grew stronger. He wagged his tail more, lifted his head higher, and looked at Amir with trust. The tag on his collar had finally been read, and it had connected him to the person who could change his life. For Bruno, this was the beginning of a new chapter. He did not know what the future held, but he knew that he was no longer invisible. He knew that someone had seen him for who he truly was. And for the first time in a long time, Bruno felt happy, hopeful, and ready for a life beyond the shelter walls. The next morning, the sun rose softly over the quiet town. Birds chirped, and the streets were calm. Inside the shelter, Bruno waited eagerly, his tail moving slightly as he saw Amir arrive at the gate. Amir had returned early, and he carried a small bag with treats, a leash, and a few essentials for a dog. He walked slowly toward Bruno, smiling gently. Bruno approached him immediately, sniffing his hand and then sitting quietly. Amir knelt down and patted him softly on the head. "Good morning, Bruno," he said. "Today we are going to spend some time together. I hope you will like it." Bruno wagged his tail. He had spent many months in the shelter, waiting for someone who could understand him. Today felt different. Today he felt that he finally had a chance to start a new life. Amir clipped a leash to his collar and opened the shelter door. Bruno stepped outside carefully, his paws touching the soft grass. He looked around curiously. The world outside the shelter was bigger than he remembered. There were trees, flowers, and open space. For a moment, he stood still, taking it all in. Amir knelt beside him, speaking calmly. "It is okay, Bruno. Take your time. This is your new world." They walked slowly through the streets near the shelter. Bruno stayed close to Amir, matching his steps. Every now and then, he looked up at Amir, his eyes full of trust. People passing by smiled at the German shepherd, noting how calm and beautiful he was. Bruno did not bark or jump. He simply walked with dignity and grace, showing the kind of dog he truly was. Amir noticed this and felt his heart fill with joy. He had read the tag, and now he could see the personality that had been waiting to shine. After a short walk, Amir decided it was time to take Bruno home. The house was not far from the shelter. It was a modest home with a small garden and a wide living room. As soon as Bruno entered, he paused at the doorway. Everything smelled new and strange. He sniffed carefully, exploring the corners of the room. Amir followed, speaking softly. "It is all right, Bruno. You can explore. This is your home now." Bruno walked slowly into the living room. He sniffed the furniture, the carpet, and the curtains. Amir placed a soft bed in one corner. Bruno stepped onto it, circled once, and then lay down, resting his head on the soft surface. For the first time in many months, he felt a sense of safety. He felt that this was a place where he belonged. Amir knelt beside him, rubbing his back gently. "You are going to be very happy here, Bruno," he said. Bruno wagged his tail slightly, enjoying the warmth and kindness in Amir's voice. After a short rest, Amir took Bruno to the small garden outside. The garden was quiet and green, with a few flowers and a small tree. Bruno sniffed every corner, his tail wagging as he explored. Amir threw a small ball gently toward him. Bruno picked it up carefully, holding it in his mouth for a moment before bringing it back. Amir smiled. "Good boy, Bruno. You are learning quickly." Bruno dropped the ball at Amir's feet and barked softly, as if inviting him to play. They spent the morning together, walking, running a little, and playing with the ball. Bruno felt alive and happy. Amir also introduced Bruno to the house rules gently. He showed him where the food and water were kept. He gave him treats when he obeyed commands. Bruno listened carefully, learning quickly. He understood that Amir was kind but firm, and that following instructions meant trust and safety. By midday, Bruno had already learned several new things. He wagged his tail proudly whenever he completed a command. Amir laughed softly. "You are very smart, Bruno. I think we will make a great team." In the afternoon, Amir decided it was time for a short drive. He opened the car door and invited Bruno inside. Bruno sniffed the seat and then jumped carefully, sitting beside Amir. He felt the gentle motion of the car as it moved through the town. Amir spoke softly, telling him about the places they would see. They drove to a quiet park nearby. Bruno stepped out carefully, looking at the wide open space with excitement. He ran freely on the grass, chasing leaves and sniffing every corner. Amir watched him with a smile. Bruno was learning that life outside the shelter could be beautiful and safe. As the day passed, Amir and Bruno returned home. Bruno was tired but happy. He walked slowly into the house, lay down on his bed, and closed his eyes. Amir sat beside him, patting him gently. "You have done very well today, Bruno," he said. "This is only the beginning. Tomorrow we will explore more. You will meet new places, new people, and you will see how wonderful life can be." Bruno rested his head, listening to the calm voice. He felt safe, loved, and understood. That evening, Amir prepared Bruno's dinner. He carefully placed the food in a bowl and called him gently. Bruno approached, sniffed the food, and then began to eat. Amir watched quietly, happy to see him eating well. After dinner, they sat together in the living room. Bruno lay beside Amir's feet, feeling warmth and comfort. Amir read a book while Bruno listened, his ears moving slightly at every sound. The house was calm and peaceful. Bruno had never experienced such quiet happiness before. As night fell, Bruno and Amir went to sleep in the living room. Amir had placed a small blanket beside him for Bruno. The dog lay down carefully, resting his head on the blanket. He thought about the shelter, about all the days he had spent waiting for someone. Now, he realized that patience had its reward. Amir had come into his life, read the tag, and understood him. Bruno felt a deep sense of gratitude and trust. He knew that this man would never leave him alone during the night. Bruno dreamed of wide open fields, of running freely, and of playing with Amir. His dreams were peaceful and happy. For the first time in a long while, he felt that life could be full of joy. The loneliness of the shelter seemed like a distant memory. Bruno's heart was full of hope. He was no longer the forgotten dog in the corner. He was a dog with a home, a friend, and a life that promised adventure and happiness. The next morning, Bruno woke up feeling refreshed. He stretched his strong legs, shook his fur, and looked around the room. Amir was already awake, preparing breakfast for both of them. Bruno wagged his tail and walked over to him. "Good morning, Bruno," Amir said softly. "Today we will have another wonderful day together." Bruno barked softly, as if agreeing, and followed Amir's steps. The first day had been long but exciting. Bruno had learned about his new home, the garden, the park, and the gentle routine of life with Amir. He had learned that people could be kind, patient, and loving. He had also learned that trust could be built slowly, but it could last forever. The tag on his collar had connected him to Amir, and now, every step he took in his new life was full of joy and hope. By the end of the day, Bruno had grown more confident. He walked proudly in the garden, explored the house without hesitation, and even greeted a neighbor who came to introduce himself. Bruno remained calm, gentle, and friendly. Amir felt proud and happy to see the progress. He knew that Bruno's patience and gentle nature had made him special. Bruno had waited for the right person, and now he had found him. As night fell again, Bruno lay on his bed, looking at Amir with trust and love. Amir patted him softly. "You are home now, Bruno. You will never be alone again." Bruno closed his eyes, feeling safe, loved, and cherished. He had waited patiently for this moment, and now he was ready to embrace the life ahead with his new friend, Amir. Bruno's first day with Amir had been filled with discovery, trust, and happiness. He had left behind the loneliness of the shelter and stepped into a world full of care and love. He knew that tomorrow would bring new adventures, new experiences, and more moments of joy. Bruno felt that his life had finally begun. The morning sun poured through the windows, painting the living room with golden light. Bruno stretched his strong legs, yawned, and looked around. Today felt special. Amir had promised a longer walk, a visit to a larger park, and perhaps a meeting with other dogs. Bruno wagged his tail in quiet excitement. He had learned quickly to trust Amir, and he knew that every new experience would be guided by patience and care. Amir prepared a small bag with water, treats, and a soft blanket for Bruno. He clipped the leash onto Bruno's collar, which still held the shiny tag. "Are you ready, Bruno?" Amir asked. Bruno looked up at him, his eyes bright and alert, and barked softly. That bark was full of happiness and confidence. It had been months since he had felt this much joy. Amir smiled, opened the door, and together they stepped into the fresh morning air. The streets were quiet, with a few people walking their dogs. Bruno noticed everything: the smell of flowers, the cool breeze, the sound of children laughing from a nearby school. He walked calmly beside Amir, sniffing the ground and observing the world. Every step was a discovery. Every sound was a lesson. Bruno felt alive in a way he had never experienced in the shelter. Back then, the world had seemed too large, too noisy, and too lonely. Now, with Amir guiding him, it felt welcoming and safe. After a short walk, they reached a large park. The park had wide green fields, tall trees, and a small pond with ducks swimming gently. Bruno's eyes widened as he took in the sight. He had never seen so much open space. Amir unclipped the leash and let Bruno explore slowly. Bruno ran across the grass, feeling the soft earth beneath his paws. He sniffed around the flowers, marked a few familiar scents, and then noticed a group of dogs playing in the distance. Bruno approached cautiously, keeping his calm and careful nature. A small beagle came forward, wagging its tail and barking softly. Bruno sniffed the beagle politely. The beagle barked again, inviting him to play. Bruno tilted his head, then moved a few steps, and the two dogs began running around the field together. Amir watched closely, making sure Bruno was safe. Bruno had learned to enjoy playtime, but he also understood boundaries. He played gently, making friends without being too aggressive or too loud. After some time, another dog approached, a golden retriever who looked friendly. Bruno sniffed and wagged his tail, then sat down to greet the dog politely. The golden retriever barked happily and ran in a circle. Bruno responded with small barks and playful movements. Amir laughed softly. "You are doing very well, Bruno. You are making friends already." Bruno barked softly, as if acknowledging Amir's words. Soon it was time for a short rest. Amir called Bruno to sit beside him. He offered water and some treats. Bruno drank eagerly, enjoying the cool water after running around. Amir spoke softly to him. "Bruno, you are learning so much today. You are learning how to meet other dogs, how to explore new places, and how to trust people. I am proud of you." Bruno wagged his tail and rested his head beside Amir's knee. He felt safe and happy. The rest of the morning was filled with small adventures. Bruno explored the pond carefully, sniffing the water and watching the ducks swim. He chased leaves that fell from the trees and rolled on the grass, feeling joy in every movement. He observed children playing with a frisbee, dogs running freely, and birds flying overhead. Each sight, sound, and smell was a lesson in life outside the shelter. Bruno realized that the world was big, beautiful, and full of opportunities. By midday, Amir and Bruno returned home. Bruno walked calmly beside him, feeling proud of his achievements. He had learned to greet other dogs, to explore new spaces, and to trust a human completely. Amir prepared a small lunch and fed Bruno carefully. Bruno ate quickly, satisfied and happy. After eating, he lay down on his soft blanket. He thought about the morning and the new experiences he had gained. For the first time, he understood that life could be exciting and safe at the same time. In the afternoon, Amir decided to teach Bruno some new skills. He brought out a small set of training tools and treats. Bruno had already learned basic commands like sit, stay, and come. Amir introduced new commands like roll over, shake paw, and wait. Bruno learned quickly. He watched Amir carefully, listened to his voice, and responded with precision. Amir rewarded him with treats and praise. Bruno felt proud. He realized that learning new skills was fun, especially when it brought happiness to Amir. After training, Amir and Bruno sat in the garden. Bruno rested his head on Amir's lap, enjoying the soft touch and calm presence. Amir spoke softly about the importance of patience, kindness, and trust. "Life is full of lessons, Bruno," he said. "Sometimes it is about running, sometimes it is about sitting quietly, and sometimes it is about understanding others. You are learning all of these things very well." Bruno wagged his tail, feeling a deep connection with Amir. Later, a neighbor came by to introduce himself. He had a small terrier and wanted to see Bruno. Bruno stayed calm, observing the new visitor and his dog. He sniffed politely, greeted the terrier without jumping or barking, and allowed the neighbor to pat him. Amir smiled. "See, Bruno, you are making friends everywhere. People will soon know how gentle and kind you are." Bruno barked softly, as if agreeing. He understood that trust and kindness could open doors to new friendships. As evening approached, the sky turned orange and pink. Bruno and Amir took a short walk around the neighborhood. Bruno walked proudly beside Amir, feeling confident and safe. People waved at them, noticing how calm and friendly Bruno was. Some children called him over, but Bruno remained gentle, allowing them to pet him carefully. Amir praised him every time he behaved well. Bruno felt that he was learning the ways of the world, slowly but surely. Back at home, Amir prepared dinner. Bruno ate eagerly, then rested in his bed while Amir finished his own meal. After dinner, they spent time together in the living room. Amir read a book, and Bruno lay beside him, listening to the calm voice and feeling safe. The bond between them grew stronger with every passing moment. Bruno realized that he had found a friend for life, someone who would guide him, protect him, and love him unconditionally. Before going to sleep, Amir patted Bruno gently. "You have had a wonderful day, Bruno. You have learned so much and made new friends. Tomorrow will bring more adventures. Sleep well, my friend." Bruno lay on his blanket, closing his eyes. He thought about the morning at the park, the new dogs he had met, the lessons he had learned, and the trust he had built with Amir for the first time. He felt truly happy and confident during the night. Bruno dreamed of open fields, running freely with Amir by his side, meeting friendly dogs and exploring new places. His dreams were peaceful and joyful. The loneliness of the shelter seemed like a distant memory. He had found safety, love, and a life full of possibilities. The shiny tag on his collar was no longer just a piece of metal. It was a symbol of hope, patience, and the connection that had changed his life forever. By the next morning, Bruno woke up feeling refreshed. He stretched, wagged his tail, and looked around the house. Amir was already awake, preparing breakfast. Bruno approached him, ready for another day of adventure, learning, and discovery. The world had opened up to him, and he was ready to embrace it fully. For the first time in his life, Bruno felt that everything was possible. He was no longer a lonely dog in a shelter. He was a German shepherd with a loving home, a trusted friend, and a bright future ahead. The morning sun rose gently, filling Amir's home with a warm glow. Bruno stretched his legs and shook his fur, feeling strong and ready for a day full of discovery. Today, Amir had planned something special. They were going to visit a larger park farther from town, a place with many trees, a small lake, and even other dogs who came from different neighborhoods. Bruno's tail wagged with excitement, but he also felt a small nervousness. New places were exciting, yet they also brought challenges. Amir packed a small bag with treats, water, and a leash. "Are you ready, Bruno?" he asked softly. Bruno barked gently, as if saying yes. He had learned to understand Amir's voice, and he trusted him completely. As they stepped outside, the fresh morning air welcomed them. Bruno sniffed the ground and looked around, curious about everything he saw. Birds chirped in the trees, leaves rustled in the gentle wind, and the sun warmed his coat. It was a perfect morning for an adventure. The drive to the new park was short, but Bruno enjoyed it fully. He watched the scenery pass by, noticing the houses, gardens, and people walking their dogs. When they arrived, the park appeared much larger than he had imagined. Wide fields stretched before him, dotted with tall trees. A small lake glimmered in the distance, and a few dogs were already playing near the water. Bruno felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. He had met other dogs before, but this park had so many, and some looked bigger or stronger than him. Amir unclipped the leash, letting Bruno explore slowly. Bruno sniffed carefully, taking in the new scents. A large Labrador approached, wagging its tail and barking softly. Bruno stepped back for a moment, unsure. The Labrador barked again, inviting him to play. Bruno tilted his head, then stepped forward, showing that he was friendly. The two dogs began to run together, chasing each other around the field. Bruno had learned to play politely. He did not jump too roughly or scare the other dog. His calm nature made him a favorite among the other dogs. After a while, a group of children arrived. They were excited and wanted to pet Bruno. He had learned from Amir to approach new people carefully. He wagged his tail and allowed the children to touch his fur gently. They laughed and smiled, enjoying the gentle nature of the large German shepherd. Bruno enjoyed the attention, but he also understood boundaries. He did not jump or bark unnecessarily. Amir watched with pride, noting how Bruno had grown confident and kind. Next, Amir took Bruno to the lake. Bruno approached the water slowly, sniffing the edge and dipping his paw to test it. The water was cool and clear. Amir threw a small stick toward the lake. Bruno leaped carefully and retrieved it, bringing it back to Amir. They repeated this several times. Bruno enjoyed the challenge. He realized that new experiences could be fun, and that he could learn to do things he had never done before. Each new task built his confidence. While exploring, a loud noise startled Bruno. A dog from the other side of the park barked sharply. Bruno froze for a moment, unsure of what to do. Amir noticed immediately. "It is all right, Bruno," he said calmly. "Stay close to me. You are safe." Bruno followed Amir's voice, feeling comforted. The calm guidance reminded him that new experiences could sometimes be scary, but he did not have to face them alone. Amir had become his protector, friend, and guide. Bruno trusted him completely. After the initial scare, Bruno regained his courage. He ran across the grass, chasing leaves and greeting other dogs politely. He realized that challenges could be overcome when he stayed calm and trusted Amir. The park offered him many lessons: how to meet new friends, how to face fears, and how to enjoy life while staying safe. Bruno understood that every experience, even the small ones, was a step toward becoming a stronger, more confident dog. By midday, Amir called Bruno to sit beside him. He offered water and a treat. Bruno drank eagerly, feeling refreshed. Amir spoke softly. "Bruno, you have done very well today. You have explored, faced challenges, and made new friends. I am proud of you. Every step you take teaches you something new." Bruno wagged his tail, feeling happy. He had learned to trust himself, to trust Amir, and to approach the world with curiosity and calmness. After a short rest, Amir decided to introduce Bruno to some training exercises in the park. He used small cones and a few treats to teach new skills, such as walking around obstacles, waiting for commands, and retrieving objects. Bruno focused carefully, listening to Amir and following instructions. Each time he completed a task, Amir rewarded him with praise and a treat. Bruno felt proud. He realized that learning new skills was rewarding and fun. Training was not just work. It was a way to grow, explore, and connect with Amir. In the afternoon, a gentle rain began to fall. Bruno had never walked in the rain before. The drops were cool and soft, and the air smelled fresh. At first, he hesitated, unsure of the wet sensation. Amir spoke softly. "It is all right, Bruno. You can walk in the rain. It is safe and fun." Bruno stepped carefully onto the wet grass. Soon, he was running, jumping, and shaking off the water, enjoying the new sensation. The rain became an adventure. Bruno realized that even unexpected moments could be joyful when faced with courage and trust. After the rain stopped, they returned home. Bruno shook off the water at the door and stepped inside. Amir dried him gently with a towel. Bruno wagged his tail, feeling clean, dry, and happy. The day had been full of challenges, new experiences, and small victories. He felt proud of himself for being brave and curious. Amir smiled, patting him gently. "You have learned so much today, Bruno. I am very proud of you. You are growing stronger, smarter, and kinder every day." In the evening, Bruno rested in his bed, reflecting on the day. He had met many dogs, faced a loud noise, played in water, and learned new skills. Each experience had taught him something important. He had discovered that the world was full of opportunities, and that trust, patience, and courage could help him navigate it. He thought about the shelter, the lonely days, and the families who had walked past him. Now he realized that his patience had been worth it. He had found Amir, and together they could face anything. As night fell, Bruno lay beside Amir in the living room. The lights were soft, the house was quiet, and the world outside seemed calm. Bruno felt safe, loved, and proud. He had grown so much in a short time. He had learned to explore, to trust, to meet new friends, and to face challenges. The tag on his collar, once a symbol of his loneliness, now represented hope, patience, and connection. Bruno understood that life could be full of adventure and joy when shared with someone kind. Before going to sleep, Amir whispered softly, "Bruno, tomorrow we will have another wonderful day. You will continue to learn, explore, and grow. Remember, I am always here with you." Bruno wagged his tail and rested his head on the soft blanket. He thought about the adventures of the day, the lessons learned, and the trust he had built. He was no longer the lonely dog in the shelter. He was a brave, happy, and confident companion with a loving home as he drifted into sleep. Bruno dreamed of open fields, new friends, running freely, and exploring the world with Amir. His dreams were calm, joyful, and full of promise. The challenges of today had taught him courage, and tomorrow promised new adventures. Bruno knew that with Amir by his side, he could face anything. The world was no longer frightening. It was full of beauty, friendship, and love. Bruno's fourth day of freedom had been a journey of growth. He had faced new places, loud sounds, new friends, and unexpected weather. He had learned patience, courage, and trust. And most importantly, he had learned that life, when shared with a kind friend, could be wonderful and full of joy. Bruno lay quietly, feeling proud of himself and ready for the next adventure. The morning sun shone brightly through the windows. Bruno woke up feeling strong and happy. He stretched his legs, shook his fur, and looked around the house. Everything smelled familiar and comforting. He had grown used to the gentle presence of Amir, the soft bed, the small garden, and the warm food waiting for him each day. Bruno felt proud of himself. He had learned so much since leaving the shelter. He had grown confident, brave, and happy. Amir entered the room with a smile. "Good morning, Bruno," he said softly. "Today we will go to the town square. There are many people and dogs there. It will be fun, and you will meet new friends." Bruno wagged his tail, eager for the adventure. He had learned that new experiences could be exciting and safe when Amir guided him. He stepped beside Amir, ready to explore the world once more. The walk to the town square was calm and pleasant. Bruno noticed everything along the way: children playing, birds flying, and neighbors greeting Amir. People admired Bruno as he walked proudly beside his friend. Some stopped to pet him, and he responded with gentle sniffs and calm movements. Bruno had learned to greet new people politely, and he understood the importance of patience and kindness. Amir smiled as he watched Bruno interact with everyone. At the town square, a group of dogs was playing together. There were small dogs, medium dogs, and a few large dogs, like Bruno. At first, he observed them from a distance. He remembered the early days in the shelter when new dogs had made him nervous. Now, he approached slowly and confidently, sniffing politely and greeting each dog. The others wagged their tails and accepted him warmly. Bruno had learned that friendships could grow with calmness and respect. Children gathered around Bruno, eager to pet the large, gentle German shepherd. He stood calmly, allowing each child to touch his fur and scratch behind his ears. He wagged his tail softly, enjoying the gentle attention. Amir knelt beside him. "See, Bruno, you are making friends everywhere. People can see how kind and gentle you are." Bruno barked softly, proud of himself. He realized that trust and kindness were the keys to happiness and friendship. During their time at the square, a small dog got tangled in a leash. Bruno noticed immediately. He approached gently, sniffed the dog, and stood close to offer comfort. The small dog relaxed, feeling safe beside him. Amir smiled. "You are very thoughtful, Bruno. You are not just brave, you are kind too." Bruno wagged his tail, feeling happy. He understood that helping others brought joy and strengthened bonds. Later, Amir and Bruno took a walk near a small fountain. Bruno stepped carefully on the stones around the water, balancing himself confidently. A few ducks swam by, and he observed them quietly. He did not chase them, understanding that respecting others was important. Amir gave him a treat. "Good boy, Bruno. You are learning to be careful and polite in every situation." Bruno wagged his tail, proud of himself for learning so much in such a short time. As the day went on, Bruno grew more comfortable in the town. He walked beside Amir, exploring shops and quiet streets. People admired his calm and friendly nature. Some children asked questions about him, and Amir explained. "This is Bruno. He is a gentle German shepherd who is very kind and smart." Bruno listened to the children's voices, wagging his tail and enjoying the gentle attention. In the afternoon, Amir decided to take Bruno to a quiet park nearby. It was a place with soft grass, flowers, and a few trees. Bruno explored carefully, sniffing the ground and watching the birds. He spotted a group of dogs playing in the distance. Bruno approached slowly, greeting each dog politely. He played with them gently, running, chasing leaves, and rolling on the grass. Amir watched, smiling at how much Bruno had grown since the shelter. During their time in the park, a sudden gust of wind blew leaves and small branches around. Bruno jumped slightly, but he remembered Amir's calm voice. He stayed close, letting Amir guide him. Soon, he realized that the wind was harmless. He stepped forward confidently, exploring the park without fear. Amir praised him. "See, Bruno, you can face anything with courage and patience." Bruno barked softly, feeling proud of himself. He understood that every challenge could be met with calmness and trust. After the park, they returned home. Bruno walked beside Amir calmly, feeling content. He had met new friends, faced small challenges, and explored unfamiliar places. Each experience had made him stronger and more confident. Amir prepared his dinner, and Bruno ate eagerly. He had learned to trust routines, to follow commands, and to enjoy the gentle guidance Amir provided. Life had become predictable in a comforting way, yet full of joy and discovery. In the evening, Amir brought out a small book and read quietly, while Bruno rested on his blanket. The calm atmosphere reminded Bruno of the lessons he had learned: patience, kindness, courage, and trust. He thought about his time at the shelter, where he had waited months for someone who would understand him. Now he realized that patience had rewarded him with the best companion he could ever have. Amir had read the tag on his collar and had chosen to see his heart. That moment had changed his life forever. Bruno had become more than just a dog. He was a friend, a companion, and a protector. He had learned to understand human emotions, to interact politely with other dogs, and to face new experiences with courage. Every day brought small lessons, and he embraced them fully. He realized that life was not just about playing or resting, but also about learning, growing, and forming bonds with others. As night approached, Bruno and Amir took a short walk around the neighborhood. The streets were quiet, and the air was cool. Bruno walked proudly beside Amir, his tail wagging and ears alert. People passing by waved at them, and some stopped to admire Bruno's calm and gentle nature. He had become well known in the town as a friendly and kind German shepherd. Bruno felt proud. He knew that he had grown from a lonely dog in a shelter into a confident, loving companion. Bruno settled on his blanket beside Amir. He thought about the adventures of the day and the lessons he had learned. He had met new dogs, faced small fears, explored new places, and gained confidence in himself. Amir gently patted him. "You are home, Bruno. You are loved, respected, and admired. You have come a long way, and your life will continue to be full of joy." Bruno wagged his tail softly, feeling content. As Bruno drifted off to sleep, he dreamed of open fields, wide parks, and happy days with Amir. He imagined meeting new friends, learning new skills, and exploring the world without fear. He felt a deep sense of gratitude for Amir, for the patience that had brought him here, and for the life he now enjoyed. The loneliness of the shelter was gone. The families who had rejected him were now memories of the past. Bruno had found the perfect home, filled with love, trust, and understanding. By the next morning, Bruno was ready for another day of adventure. He had learned that life could be full of joy when shared with someone kind. He had grown confident, brave, and happy. The shiny tag on his collar reminded him of the journey he had taken, and the patience that had guided him to Amir. Bruno knew that every day would bring new opportunities, and he was ready to embrace them. Bruno's life had transformed completely. From a lonely, rejected dog in a shelter, he had become a confident, happy, and loved companion. He had learned patience, courage, kindness, and trust. He had found a home, a friend, and a life full of promise. Every step he had taken had led him to this moment of joy, safety, and belonging. Bruno wagged his tail, feeling content. His journey had been long, but it had led him to happiness, and he was ready for all the adventures that lay ahead.